Chapter 6.3 Perspective Revelation. As I stood in the elevator on floor 1, I assumed that the blood covering the third floor button would lead me to find out the contents of the body bag. Eager to investigate further and maybe even save whoever was being dragged away into the darkness, I pushed the button and the doors creaked shut before me. Having passed by the second floor, the elevator abruptly started to crack and jar in a series of concussions that almost caused the framework to halt. After a few seconds where my heart pounded faster, the elevator suddenly continued upwards with steady motions and stopped firmly at the third floor. The doors opened slowly with a wheezing sound, whereupon an eerie whisper resounded from somewhere. Although near silent, I managed to discern the words, "Why, come back." Even though I was faced with a creeping sensation that something was largely out of place, I stepped outside the elevator into the thick, almost unnatural darkness on the third floor's west wing. Unlike the examination room on the first floor, there weren't any emergency lamps anywhere in the vicinity. The only thing guiding me forth was the radiance from my flashlight. I started to make my way into the hospital's third floor with cautious steps. The windows were all blacked out, and this place was completely steeped in dense darkness. Strange noises could be heard from inside the locked care rooms in the west wing, and I momentarily froze up due to the haunting atmosphere. A strange substance resembling black water covered the walls and prevented me to clearly make out my path ahead. I slowly made my way across a sticky matter marring the floor, and soon found myself standing inside a room that I deduced was a day room for patients. The day room was strangely spared from the black substance, and the furniture inside seemed brand new. There weren't any scratches, dents, or grime on the table surfaces, or on anything else for that matter. The place was spick and span and exuded a sense of true calmness. A chill ran down my spine when I realized that I had to go out into the darkness again. After admiring the serenity of the day room, I hesitantly returned into the main foyer of the third floor west wing. After walking around in silence for a while, I suddenly came up to what looked like two smaller windows. The windows were about the height of my head, and I tried to take a peek through them. The only thing I saw was immense darkness, so I used my flashlight in order to try to discern something that would aid my exploration. Since the dark matter somehow devoured the beam of my flashlight, I had to rely on my senses to guide me onward. I swept my hands over the sticky, strange substance and soon found a handle on what seemed to be a door. I jerked the handle, whereupon the door suddenly opened. On the other side was the same kind of emergency hallway as on the first floor. The only differences were the solid glass windows that made up the floor as well as the roof of the corridor. The black substance was nowhere to be seen in this hallway, and I quickly closed the door to the west wing behind me and turned off my flashlight. I hadn't seen any sign of either the creature dragging the body bag around or the body bag itself since I came to the third floor. Fear gradually took control of my thoughts, and I brought up the metal pipe I'd found on the first floor to defend myself against possible ambushes. I picked up my pace as a small sense of safety returned to my mind. With quick steps, I hurried through the emergency hallway into the office section in the middle of the hospital's third floor. I surely thought that something would lie in wait to ambush me once I had entered, but the only thing assaulting my senses was a deafening silence. I continued through the office compartment on the third floor and soon came into the hallway connecting the middle and east wing section. There was still no sign of the body bag or any other dangers, so I quickened my pace and soon found myself just beyond the revolving doors of the east wing. A slight shuffling sound could be heard from further into the complex, as if something was being dragged along the ground. The black substance had returned, but it wasn't as pervasively thick as in the west wing. I once more equipped myself with a flashlight, and was just about to follow the strange scraping sound, when the evocatively whispering voice spoke again. "Why did come back?" Why did what come back? Was the voice talking about me? At the same time as I was keen to investigate the source of the strange whispers, they somehow chilled me to my bone. I progressed with caution. As I stood in front of a strangely shaped section of the hospital, I looked up and saw two signs stating that ahead of me lay 3 rooms: the security chamber, the inmate passage, and the mental treatment center. The door to the security chamber was tightly locked, so I tried to follow the scraping sound and the whispers by heading into the inmate passage to my left. Before stepping inside, I was faced with a large hole in the wall, as if someone or something had forcefully burst through solid concrete. Perplexed by the entire situation, I used my flashlight to survey the area ahead before continuing. The wall on the other side of the inmate passage had also been broken down, and a gaping hole was the result of whatever excessive force had been used. Aside from the black substance, there was now also a line of blood running along the floor, heading through the inmate passage room and into the darkness beyond. A sheer force of deep fear suddenly forced itself into my mind, and I reconsidered my decision to follow the trail of the mystery creature and the strange body bag. However, I was met with another problem just as I turned around. A massive group of transparent creatures came towards me. The creatures started to push, and even though some of them passed right through me, I was forced to follow them deeper, eventually reaching the mental treatment center itself. The strange see-through creatures continued on their path to an unknown destination further in. The only thing that was certain was that they were following the trail left behind by the mysterious creature dragging the body bag. I hesitantly made my way forward together with the seemingly innocent creatures. They soon stopped just outside a closed metal door adorned with multiple intricate locks. I observed them for a while, thinking how strange it was that they had just suddenly stopped. What lay beyond that door? After being immovable for a while, the transparent creatures inexplicably started to touch the locks in an attempt to open the heavy metal door. However strange it was, the creatures managed to unlock the mechanisms one by one, and after a while the sturdy metal door creaked open as the inside of the chamber was revealed. The creatures stepped out of the way and let me through, almost as if they wanted me to see the room's contents. I saw the body bag I had been searching for lying silently and unmoving on the padded floor as I peeked into the dark room with the help of my flashlight. The compartment looked very much like an isolation chamber, and I was just about to investigate further when a vision suddenly took form before me. Amidst blinking lights and strange yelling, I saw a man being pulled along a white-colored floor by a large male guard, accompanied by 2 other men with batons in their hands. An inmate in one of the other isolation cells suddenly yelled, "Why did you come back?" The large guard was just about to throw the dragged man into the isolation chamber when he suddenly rose up from the floor and resisted. I watched as a power struggle ensued between the man heading for isolation and the guard. The man had the advantage at first and bit the large guard in his hand. The guard then overpowered the man and was just about to punch him when a loud noise suddenly interrupted the vision. A massive black hand tore through the air towards me, but I dodged the incoming blow and ran forward to avoid whoever had thrown the punch. I tried to use my beam to shed some light on the monster ahead of me, but it was no use, since it seemed to devour light just like the black substance did. Angered for having missed its shot at me, the black creature started a rampage towards the transparent beings instead. One by one, they were thrown around the mental treatment center as the black monster went berserk. Realizing that I was in a losing fight, I turned around and fled through the inmate passage. The black monster must have seen me escape because it didn't dawdle in its relentless pursuit. I made my way towards the stairwell on the 3rd floor and ran up the stairs towards the hospital rooftop. As I reached the roof, I was met with an amber-colored evening sky. I hurried my steps across a skywalk connecting the east and west wings of Honeydale Hospital. I threw a glance over my shoulder and gleaned the silhouette of the monster in the corner of my eye. Before long, I came to a rooftop playground and tried to loose the monster amongst the swings and wooden constructions therein. I still wasn't able to discern the monster's distinguishing features, since it was surrounded by an ominous black cloud. As it came towards me, I scoured my surroundings for an escape route. My eyes thankfully fell upon a spiral tunnel slide running down the side of the hospital's west wing. Without as much as a thought for risk, I stood up and threw myself down the tunnel chute, hoping that I'd end up in a safe place. I hit the bottom with a smack and came out onto a patch of grass just outside the hospital. My eyes immediately wandered skyward, but there was no sign of the black monster on the edge of the roof. There was a hatch and ladder to my right, but I ignored the objects and instead decided to escape the premises in search of a way to leave the town before more disaster would befall me. I checked the compass on my wristwatch and made my way northward, towards the mountainous North Star County. My final destination was the hostel in the Backlands Forest region around Cordale.